My TV season 5, what it do?
Ain't nothing new but a brand new crew.
John with the weather, Rain with the news,
And Gabe bringing sports, and Rado helping too.
and different school programs happening after school.
Like Asian Club, Lake Club, and BSU.
But if you're not with that, what's up with the
We
sports?
got football, soccer, and tennis at the park.
Man, we the turkey champs, trying to repeat.
And if you tryna rap, ask having for a beat.
Got cheerleaders gigging, showing heck of pride.
My TV, what's up, season 5?
Hey, don't fam.
Hey guys, it's playoff time, so this Thursday at 4, come to Keysar and support your Mission Bears as they play Galileo.
Wednesday, there's gonna be an all-city cross-country meet finals. So everyone come out and support Mission.
My TV is hosting the next My TV Live on November 20th, Tuesday. If you can sing, dance, or want to perform, come see Mr. Hammond and sign up.
Today and Thursday will be career day all this week. So if you want to learn something for your career, come to advisory and go to your career day class.
Hi everyone, I'm Fiona.
I'm Yingxi. We are here representing the Recycling Club. When does our club meet, Fiona?
Our recycling class meets every Mondays, Wednesday, Friday lunchtime. So Yingxi, what will you do at the meeting time?
We will be collecting bottles and paper in the classrooms. Come join our club and make Mission High School more green,
Clean and better.
Hello, this is Hatim from My TV, and I'm here with filmmaker and editor Ken Burns. How are you, Mr. Burns?
I'm fine, thank you for having me.
No problem. So, what inspired you to make this film?
Well, a friend of mine, Dayton Duncan, who's been a collaborator for a number of years, a writer and producer who's worked with me for a long, long time, had been talking about this idea for almost 20 years, and we finally decided that we had to do it, that we would reach the place where those people who could remember something about the Dust Bowl were about to die. They were reaching the end of their lives, and that if we were going to act, we needed to act quickly, and that they would be able to tell us stories about it that no one else could tell, that no book could do, no photograph could do, and that's exactly what happened.
What were some things you were learning about the Dust Bowl?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that the Dust Bowl, for most people, if they've heard about it at all, is usually just a caption and a photograph in a history book or a paragraph in a history book. But I think what we learned was that this is the greatest man-made ecological disaster in the history of our country, and it happened during the Great Depression, which is the greatest economic cataclysm in the history of our country, that it nearly blew away all of the topsoil of the southern plains. This had been grasslands that had been foolishly turned over and put into wheat production, and they'd had a few good years because the weather was wetter than usual. But when the drier weather came back, and in fact a drought that was hitting 46 of the 48 states transformed this into an arid desert-like community, and the wind just blew constantly. They had dust going all the way to Washington, D.C., and the President of the United States could get, a little bit of Oklahoma or Texas on his fingertips. That got us interested, and the idea that we could tell a much more complicated story that involved more than 24 survivors of the Dust Bowl and a lot of historians and a lot of rare and never before seen photographs, we jumped at it.
Cool. When did you start filmmaking and editing?
When did I personally? Well, I've known I've wanted to be a filmmaker since I was 12 years old, and that was in 1965. And I knew the power of film and wanted to do that. I wanted to be a Hollywood director, and I went to college, and a lot of my teachers were interested in documentary, and I realized that I had much more interest in the things that were not made up, what was and what is, rather than things that come from the human imagination. And I started a film company when I graduated from high school in 1975 called Florentine Films, and I have been making films ever since, on my own, not working for other people, but working with colleagues to produce films, and all of them have been in American history so far.
And you edited your movies too?
I'm not the editor, physical editor of the film, but I oversee a good deal of the editing because that's where our films are made. We do collect a lot of interviews, we do collect a lot of old photographs and newsreel and live cinematography, and we do a lot of writing, but the most important moment is when we put it together in the editing room. So I'm not actually technically an editor. I'm a producer and a director and a writer and an executive producer. But one of the things that my job entails is overseeing the editing and making sure that I can have the final creative judgment of what's in and what's out of a film.
How do you think what are some of the movies, what are they mostly based upon?
All of the films are in American history that I've done, and they're asking all of them one deceptively simple question: who are we? Who are the strange and complicated people who like to call themselves Americans? And what can an investigation of the past tell us about not only where we've been, that's our history, but where we are right now, that's our present, and where we may be going, that's our future. And paradoxically, history is a really interesting way to understand and ensure that you have a future. So all of them are in American history. They've been about the Civil War, about jazz, about baseball. There have been biographies of individuals like Lewis and Clark and Thomas Jefferson and the architect Frank Lloyd Wright. We've made films about beautiful objects like the Brooklyn Bridge and the Statue of Liberty. We've done things on wars, the Civil War and the Second World War called The War. We're right now working on a history of the Vietnam War. Just anything within American history draws our interest because we think that human nature remains the same, and so the more you can talk about something that took place, you're really holding up a mirror to who we are now.
Can you tell us more about the Ken Burns effect?
Well, Steve Jobs called me in almost 12 years ago next month to his offices in Cupertino and asked me if they could use this thing that they'd spent several years trying to perfect, which was moving, panning, and zooming on photographs, and they wanted to call it the Ken Burns effect. I had been for years employing a much more complex system of moving within old photographs and adding complex sound effects and music and first-person voices to. That's the true Ken Burns effect, if you will. Mm-hmm. And he just did that, and so a lot of people do it and use it for their weddings and parties and various events, and it's fun. But the Ken Burns effect that we all use, and it shouldn't be called Ken Burns effect, just the techniques, the hundreds of different techniques that we use to help bring the past alive is really the effect that we care about.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for being here today, Mr. Burns. And as a parting gift, I'd like to give you this DVD and letter from some Mission High School students.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you so very much, and I really enjoyed being with you. Thank you.
Don't forget your gift basket.
I won't. I won't.
Hey, Hot Team.
Oh, what's up, John?
What are you up to?
Oh, nothing. I'm just liking the new MyTV Facebook page.
Oh, yeah?
And you should, too.
Got Mission High news? Send us your news, updates, and more. Call our hotline at 415-763-5796 or email us at mediacentermissionhigh@gmail.com. We'll be waiting. Brought to you by Mission Youth Television and Mission High Radio.
See you next week!
My TV season 5, what it do?
Ain't nothing new but a brand new crew.
John with the weather, Rain with the news,
And Gabe bringing sports, and Rondo helping too.
and different school programs happening after school.
Like Asian Cup, Lake Club, and BSU.
But if you're not with that, what's up with the
We
sports?
got football, soccer, and tennis at the park.
Man, we the turkey champs, trying to repeat.
And if you trying to rap, ask Hammond for a beat.
Got cheerleaders gigging, showing heck of pride.
My TV, what's up, season 5?
Hey, Dark Fam.